And welcome to Trip to the Mound. We are the iBaseballChannel podcast. Roy Giovanoni, joined as always by Mike Lacoste. We are here just on the doorstep of the ALCS. We're getting ready for some League Championship Series action. Yep, you got your foot on the plate, and we're ready to jump into this. It's going to be very exciting on both ends, and I think where we're going to start on the American League end. Again, we've got Baltimore and Kansas City. It's been 1983 and 1985 respectively for the two teams since they've been this deep in the postseason, and so it's both teams are excited and looking forward to it. And I think when you look at the matchup in general, it's pretty balanced, except for maybe that one key factor when you look at the offensive differences that each team represents.
The offensive differences, yeah, a little bit. I mean, they still have to, hit good pitches when they get them. So,
yes.
And that's going to be key is how many good pitches are they going to get to hit? Which team is going to make the least amount of mistakes, and or if don't field a bunt properly like we saw the other night, and just all these little things because we're only playing for a game here. It's not a whole season, so
yeah,
you got to nail your game down and play all aspects of the game. You got to get a break. Kansas City though is looming in the shadows with their luck, with their little horseshoe thing following them around. They were. It was one of my former teams, and I was until August 2nd of 1985. I was there, and but I watched them get into the World Series. With the help of a call, it happened the other night. But again, they're able to put the big D on you when they it seems like they got that going now. They got a lot of different guys swinging the bats, so. They're going to be dangerous. They're going to be the underdogs, and when you're the underdog in Major League Baseball and you're playing well, you're dangerous.
Yeah,
you put that thought in the other team's mind, and of course the Orioles are thinking, we don't want to get complacent here. I know they're not, and they're trying to get their game together, and try to go out and just play good, solid baseball. Don't make any mistakes, and you need those 2 out hits with runners in scoring position. Pitchers that are able to stay out of the heart of the plate over the course of the night and work on those corners and change speeds, and they're all going to have different stuff, but like we saw leading up to these playoff games here, the pitching, when it boils down to it, can really play a big role. We saw Petit come in there and do a big thing for the Giants, and you see the Cardinals getting some help. You see the Royals coming in there with their big bullpen, so that's going to be an advantage for them. The Royals, though, play a big, hardy brand of baseball with their Buck Showalter guy, leading the charge.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things you look at. I saw where they're comparing the experiences of the two managers, giving the advantage, of course, to Buck.
Because he's been there a little bit.
Yeah,
longer.
there. And they were questioning, Yost's moves that he made, but got lucky anyway and won the game. That kind of stuff. But that's all history. It's all water under the bridge. Now now you get to play a series, and people are gonna get exposed. It's pretty cool though. I look forward to it, even though I'm not. Real high on the American League, as you know, but
yeah.
We treat them with respect and give them their due diligence.
Well, and I think with the two, you just kind of mentioned a little bit of the two managerial styles. Mm-hmm. Buck Showalter is, to a degree, is known as a tinkerer. He's one of these guys where his starting unit is guys that get you only so far. You're not looking at a Clayton Kershaw or an Adam Wainwright within their rotation. So it's very important for a guy like Buck Showalter to manage the back end and what's going on in the later innings. Again, in their bullpen, they've got Kevin Gausman, who's great long relief guy, who's almost got that frontline starter type stuff to him. And then they go to that trio that has Darren O'Day, Andrew Miller, and then Zach Britton, the lefty, to close it out. So it's, again, these are things that are really important to how Buck's managerial style. And then on the other end of the equation, you've got Ned Yost, who's known as a little bit more of a set it and forget it type lineup. I mean, what he's done to this point, you don't see a lot of variations in it. This is the way he's played to this point is what's got him there, and it's what he's going to take into the next round. But like you said, they have that very dangerous bullpen on the other end of it as well. So it looks like in the case of both teams, one of the things that's going to be important is how you score early, because both teams really do have above average bullpens.
Yeah, and we're gonna go right back to that starting pitching because nothing happens until those guys throw the baseball. So when they do start throwing or pitching the baseball, if for example, if the Orioles have a game plan, it's probably going to be that they got to get to the starter early, work the count, make them throw a lot of pitches, and try to get a lead ahead of them so that you can try to hang on. Because if they get a lead, then you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
According to the way they've been playing, which I'm telling you doesn't matter in the playoffs because, hey, the Orioles got some good players over there, and they can dial it up just like everybody else can. So
yeah, and I
it's
think
not just a cut dry thing. Just because you throw 100 miles an hour or 98 doesn't mean it's Katie bar the door. We'll talk about some other stuff later, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, and I think one of the more interesting things too, and this is something that when you talk to Orioles pitchers, this is something they've preached along the way, is that Buck Showalter has always been one of these quick to the plate type guys. If you're a pitcher and you take a long time getting that release to the plate, it's something that you're either changing or you're gone. That's just been the kind of the history of how pitchers coming into this Orioles system. Well, as it factors into it, this series is going to be huge because Kansas City's got all kinds of speed on the other end. So you have these guys to where they're mindful of the fact that once you've got this guy on base, by their nature, they want to be quick to the plate. And moreover, it's really going to be on the two catchers, Nick Hundley and Caleb Joseph, who are both filling in for Matt Wieters. These guys are going to really have to keep up what they've been doing, which is keeping those guys from getting from first to second and from second to third.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you got to get on first. That's the hardest thing to do. And to just give you a little bit of show you how good the Orioles starter tonight has been doing with holding runners on. He's only allowed one stolen base off of him in
Chris
I
Tillman,
think 2 years now.
Yep,
running. So, or at least this full season. But I think it goes back to last year. So he is making a conscientious effort with his delivery. In the time frame of the baseball world, if you take more than 1.35 seconds to deliver the ball, you can forget it. So you got to be down in that 1.30 and hopefully in the 2.5, 2.2 range, and even into the 1.18, 16 range. And then you really give your catcher, a shot at throwing the guy out. And that's for the top runners. Those top guys can get from first to second in a little around 3.5 seconds, 3.6, 3.5. So you can do the math, and then of course the throw's got to be there, and the slide's got to be good. Everything's got to go right, and so the Orioles are doing a good job with that.
Yeah.
But the Royals got to get on first.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things that the Royals have hung their hat on, especially in this last series, but they had a little bit of a power surge. They had 4 key homers in that division series versus the Angels, where this is a team that was really down at the bottom as far as home run production during the year. So again, with the way that Baltimore plays, you figure that you're going to want to have a little bit of that power going in there again. I mean, you had guys like Eric Hosmer, Mike Moustakas. These guys were the unlikely, not unlikely, but they were the guys that emerged and showed a little bit of power. And you think that going forward, they're going to need to have a little bit about that, because on the other end of the equation, Baltimore is a team that really can flex its muscles and put the long ball to their advantage, and they have all season.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be able to, get your timing right, and everything's got to go right for you so you can work the count, getting that fastball count that you're looking for. And if you get the fastball, it's where these guys can, get their arms extended. They're going to hit the ballpark, a lot of them. And, that's the great thing about it. But again, we've seen the pitchers pretty much go on lockdown with the exception of a few guys,
Yeah.
So
yeah, and again, looking at if this is the way that this series is going to play out, again, runs are going to be a premium. The managerial styles of how they're containing the runners, again, from Baltimore looking at Kansas City, that's going to be a big deal. From Kansas City looking at Baltimore, if they do give up the long ball, I'm sure they're going to be in a position where they want it to be a solo homer. They don't want to have guys on base, obviously, when you're doing it to add more runs to the equation. But they got to know that this is where this potential lies within Baltimore's lineup. Even their 7, 8, 9 hitters, not as high of average, but all of these guys have pop in there as far as top to bottom.
Yeah, and you have to stay from that, stay away from that dreaded 3-run homer at any time, and because that can really take the wind out of your sail. And the daubers go down, and
Yeah.
so
Well, and historically, when you look at a team where, again, both teams have defense, both teams have a good bullpen, both teams have above average starters, but again, the major difference between the two is that one relies on power and the other relies on speed. Historically, when you look at this type of matchup, is one style favored more than the other when it comes down to a 7-game series like this?
well, I think you have to go with speed if you're going to pick one, because power can be negated real easy. Speed, you can top a ball. Like I said, you got to get on first, but there's a lot of ways to get on. You can draw a walk, or you can, if you got speed, these guys can chop that ball and run it out. A ball hit in the hole or deep up the middle, you beat it out. And so there's advantages to having speed, whereas power, they have to get the pitches to hit, and then they can't miss them. So your pitching, good pitching is going to shut down power, any time.
Yeah.
Doesn't do it all the time, but they can shut it down, whereas speed is a little bit more to defend against.